If you're planning to sell your home and you absolutely do not want to use a real estate agent, then this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process on how you can get your home sold by yourself without hiring a real estate agent and maximize your profit. Stick around and we'll get right to it. If this is your first time to the channel, my name is David Tortellini, and I've been helping people buy and sell property here in the Williamsburg and Hampton Roads area since 2010. So subscribe to this channel for more great information on everything you need to know about buying and selling in Williamsburg and throughout all of Hampton Roads, and we'll get straight to our video. So you're planning to sell your home and you want to do it all on your own so you can save that realtor commission fee. I totally understand that, because at the end of the day, your goal is really to maximize the profit on the sale of your home. Now, there's a lot that goes into selling a home properly, and that's what we're going to cover in this video. So we'll really just start at the very beginning and work our way through the entire process so that you can do everything that you need to do in order to get your home sold fast and for as much money as possible, and do the whole thing without using a real estate agent. So let's get to step number one, and that is something that I start with clients usually upwards of a year or more in advance, and that is a condition review. So really what you want to do is you need to go through your house as soon as you decide that you're going to sell and start thinking about what upgrades need to be made in order to make your home as marketable as possible, and then just repairs around your home. So that's one of the things that I work with clients well in advance, is starting to get to the property and go over what's going to need to be repaired now so that you don't have to deal with it as a problem in the future. And then what upgrades do you need to do in order to make your house as presentable as possible and make it as appealing to today's buyers. So whether we're going through and looking at bathroom updates, flooring updates, I mean, the basics that you can do. Carpet and paint. Best return for your buck, flooring and paint. So if you can get rid of carpet these days, that's usually a good thing. If you can take down wallpaper, especially in Williamsburg, a lot of homes with a lot of wallpaper in Ford's Colony and in Kings Mill just filled with wallpaper, and most modern buyers don't want that. So things that you can start doing would be to go around and look at what you can do to improve the condition of your home. Now, at the extreme end of this, it would be going and getting a home inspection done. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I make that suggestion to almost every client I have. Not a lot of them, do that, but getting a home inspector in to really go through your home so that you can take your time to get the repairs done, get the contractors out that you want to do it, maybe make the repair yourself if you can. Might as well jump ahead of these things now before they become a problem in the future. So these are all your opportunities to really look at the condition of your home and figure out exactly what needs to be done and what needs to be done to maximize your profit. Now, you're going to have to do some research to figure out what those things are that compare you to other homes that have sold in the area. So if you're really trying to maximize that profit, you need to have a really good idea of what trends are in style and what your neighbors have done to maximize their sales prices. So do some research, take some time to really figure it out so that you know exactly what you need to do. Now that your home has been updated and that you've made the repairs that you need to in order to get it on the market, your next step is to get it ready for market. And that's going to start with staging your home properly. So you're going to have a couple options here. And my first recommendation is going to be to just go look at what great looking homes online have sold for. They don't even have to be in your area. They can be anywhere. If you start looking at homes that have sold for a lot and that look beautiful to you, you're going to find that there's going to be some consistency there, and that they're all extremely clean and decluttered. So I always tell people clean and then declutter some more, and declutter some more. And that's really going to put your home in a position where it can sell and it can be presented to the masses in the way that they want to see them and the way that the competition is going to look. Now, when you're doing this, you're going to have the option of hiring a stager to come in. You could bring somebody in that's a professional and pay them for their advice, and they can really help get your home spruced up and looking like it needs to. And you can also, if your house is going to be vacant, you could have them stage the home with their furniture, for a fee for the duration of your listing. So you're going to have a lot of options there, but you need to stage your home properly. If you think you can just take some photos of your house and then just the way it is, the way you live in it every day, the truth of the matter is it's just not going to look great for most people. You know, most people don't live in a staged ready, photo ready type of house. And you're going to really want to get in with someone who can really show you what to do. But the best place to start, like I said earlier, was really go and just do your research on what other homes that are selling fast for a lot of money are looking like when they hit the market, and then just try and match them. Because if you can do that, you can get your house in a really good position to look great for the most important thing you're going to do next, and that's photo day. So photos, you're going to have a lot of options here. You can take your own photos using your cell phone, or if you have a point and shoot camera. Now, if you have really great editing capabilities, if you're a techie like that, you can take your own photos and get them online and have them looking really good. But the truth is most people don't have those abilities. So you're either going to take cell phone photos that look, cell phones take a good photo these days, but they're not great. They still don't, import online extremely well. And, for anybody who doesn't really have a lot of photography experience, your aspect ratios are going to be off, your lighting's going to be off, all that kind of stuff. So you might want to hire a professional photographer. There are a bunch in the area. You have to just track one down, find a good photographer. And of course, that's going to come at a fee that is normally covered by your real estate agent. But if you're willing to pay a professional photographer to come out, they can make your home really look amazing. The top agents in the area all use professional photographers. In fact, if you do ever end up hiring an agent, they don't use a professional photographer, do not hire that agent, because that is number one thing that every agent should be doing in the market these days. So you should do it too. Get a professional photographer to come on out and shoot your home. Now, this may also include paying them extra to do video. So we're doing a lot of video on listings these days, and they can do it for you too. So, again, you may be able to do that as well on your own. Like, I have shot some of my own video with my camera, and I can do it because I've obviously editing some video and kind of do this a little bit. But I can do it, but I don't do it as well as professional does it. So if you've never done it before, it takes a lot of time and a lot of experience. So if you want that video, hire a professional to do it. And the other thing you may be looking at, especially if you're waterfront or you're on some land, you may be looking at drone video or drone photography. So again, you may have a drone. A lot of people now have drones, but you may really want to have someone who's licensed to be flying a drone, especially in Hampton Roads, where we have so many airports and military bases. You don't want to be flying a drone in a restricted area for your real estate photography and get in a whole bunch of trouble just so you're trying to get an overhead shot of your house. So again, that photographer, each of these things costs a little extra and costs a little extra and costs a little extra, but they're all things that you can do to help present your home like you were a high-end realtor, how they would present it. So you have your photos now and you're ready to go. You're ready to get the house on the market. So now you need to actually be marketing your property. So what are the things that you're going to need? Easy one, a sign. You can go to Home Depot and grab a cheap for sale sign, write for sale and your address on it and your phone number, and you're good to go. Stick that in the yard and hope someone drives by and looks at it. Awesome. Then you also have the choice of doing something a little higher end, and there are companies around here where will make just one sign for you. So if you did want to spend a couple $100s, you could go to a sign company and have them make a single nice looking for sale sign for you. Now, the other thing to keep in mind in Williamsburg is we have quite a few communities that require their own signage. So you don't want to get fined. So make sure you go to your HOA first and make sure you know what the sign regulations are. Because if you are going to put your own for sale sign in the yard, you need to know what it's supposed to look like. So just go to the HOA. They may even have a sign for you. A few neighborhoods do, but they may also force you to go get your own sign made that has the appropriate colors that a lot of us real estate agents, we just keep them in our office now. We just, over the years, you build them up and you have them. But you may need to go and get your own sign made depending on what neighborhood you're in. But other than that, you can just stick a Home Depot for sale sign in the yard and you'll be good to go. But then the next thing, you might, if you want to do physical marketing, you may want to do flyers. If you just have like Publisher, you can make a flyer really easy. If you have Canva, you can probably do a real estate flyer in Canva and you'll be good to go there too. Just depends on if you want to do that kind of stuff. Other postcards, things like that, you may want to mail out postcards. They're whole bunch of sites where you can do that, Vistaprint, stuff like that. And as long as you're willing to start just paying for some of this marketing, then you should be good to go. A lot of it can be done online these days. And if you have solid photos that can upload well, then you're going to be in a good position to start doing some of these marketing things on your own. Now, Williamsburg in particular, this next one is big. So you can also get a real estate agent to do what's called an MLS placement listing. And this is really where you just pay them a flat fee and they'll stick your home in the MLS for about 30 days, 90 days, just it's a different fee for however long you want it. And in Williamsburg, you have the Williamsburg MLS. So that's the small local MLS. About 400 agents are members of that. So you could find an MLS placement listing agency to just stick it in there for you, and then you handle the rest from there. You still get the inbound calls. They don't do anything for you other than just have it in the MLS, just so agents know it's out there. Now, when you get into Williamsburg, it's served by that primary Williamsburg MLS. But a lot of people work in Williamsburg who aren't members of that MLS. So then you have the Hampton Roads MLS, that's called RAIN, and that's got about 8,000 realtors in it. So you're going to probably want to be in at least both of those. So now you're paying for that twice. And then there are agents who come down from Richmond. So you may want to be in the Richmond MLS, and then the Middle Peninsula, Gloucester, Matthews County, they have another MLS as well. So there are probably 4 MLSs that you may want to consider paying separately for MLS placements in each one of those. If you really want true full coverage, I would say at the very least though, you probably have to do the Williamsburg MLS and RAIN, the Hampton Roads MLS, if you want to maximize your exposure to real estate agents. Then the next step is just figuring out where else you want to advertise your property. You know, you're probably going to want to get it on Facebook, Instagram, all the different social medias so that you can maximize exposure for that home. You know, on Facebook, you may want to even just create a page for that property where you can post pictures, keep people up to date with what's going on, something like that. And then you can also run boosted ads. So if you want to pay for advertising on a place like Facebook or Instagram in hopes that you find your buyer through that method, then that's going to be a pretty good idea too. Other places like Craigslist, and then you can also try and get them on the individual portals as well, like Zillow and Homes.com, places like that, where you may want to try and get your listing into those sites so that you can get exposure for your home. Now that your home is being marketed, you have to be prepared to take in phone calls and set up showings on the house. So that's going to be the big thing you need to think about next. Before you really even get your house on the market, the biggest thing you need to think about is, are you going to work with buyer's agents? Because you're still going to get calls from real estate agents who represent buyers who may be interested in your home. And you need to decide if you're going to be willing to pay them. So when I show a property that's listed by a for sale by owner, that's always my first question. I say, hey, this is David Tortellini with eXp Realty. I represent a buyer who's very interested in your home. However, I am curious if you're working with buyer's agents. If so, how much are you paying for commission? The standard for me is 3%. Are you paying 3% for buyer's agents? And a lot of times people haven't even thought about it. So they just expected that only people without agents would be reaching out to them. But the truth of the matter is that most buyers have an agent. So you're going to get this question. You really need to decide if your answer to that agent that calls is going to be, yes, absolutely, I'm paying X% to buyer's agents. Or if you're going to say, no, I'm not willing to work with buyer's agents. Only people who are unrepresented can show my house. So that's going to be something you need to decide upfront before you really start thinking about it and you start running numbers. And then you need to decide, how are people going to contact you? Are you going to give out your personal cell phone number? Just know that once it's out there forever. And if you want to give out your personal cell phone number, people are going to call you directly and text you directly in order to schedule showings. So the big thing is, what does your day look like? Are you available all the time to take those calls? One of the hardest parts that I find when trying to show a for sale by owner property is that the homeowner isn't extremely responsive. And it makes sense. They're probably really busy at work and at life, and they just don't have time, and aren't used to the interruptions on their phone every day like a real estate agent is. So when you decide that you're going to sell your house yourself, decide, okay, my phone is going to be right next to me. I've got to be ready to pick it up when it calls, because every call could be a potential sale on your house, and every text message needs to be responded to quickly, just in case those people are hot to buy and they're ready to go and you need to get them into your house in order to sell the property. And that's going to bring us to our next step, which is going to be, how are people going to get access to your home? Are you just going to leave you can go to Home Depot and buy a combo lockbox for like 35 bucks. So that's not expensive. You can just leave an inexpensive combo box. They make some really advanced ones too that you can buy that have more like Bluetooth capabilities and stuff like that. So there's some neat personal home lock boxes you can buy now these days. But you can go buy a lockbox, put it on the door, and stick a key in there and tell an agent who's coming by with a buyer that they can show it at their leisure? Or are you just going to let random people who haven't been approved yet or qualified just use the lockbox and just go through your house? And that's 100% up to you, what you feel comfortable with. That's really going to vary from person to person in what their level of comfort is with just having strangers go through their home. And the other thing you need to think about is, do you want to be at every showing? So say you don't want to do the lockbox. Do you just want to be home for every single showing? And do you want to be the one who walks them through their house? Now that is going to limit opportunity for a lot of people to be there at the same time. So you're really gonna have to work hard to coordinate, just because people have different work schedules and different opportunities. And if you work from home and you're home all the time, that's a lot easier. But if you're down at the shipyard from 7 a.m. to 4 every day, then it's going to make a little bit more difficult for you to be at every single showing. Or you'll just have to push people off to the weekends. It's just going to be a thing where you're just going to have to figure it out. And it's all very doable, but you just need to find out when your showing times are going to be available, and then do you want to be present for them? Now, if you are going to be letting people into your home, you do need to probably figure out a way to make sure that they're actually, legitimate buyers. Now, if they're already represented by an agent, that's a pretty good indication that they're serious buyers and that they're working with somebody. But if you have random people call you and they don't have an agent, then there's a really good chance that this is a very early stage for them in their home buying process. And there's a good chance that they haven't met with a lender yet. They may not be pre-approved buyers. They may not really be in a position to actually buy your house. So you're going to want to figure out a way to really qualify those people, figure out if they should even be coming to your house. It may make sense for you to even tell them, like, hey, yes, I'd love to have you come by, but you have to go get with a lender and send me, email me a pre-approval letter before you're allowed to come see the house. And if they're not willing to do that, I'm gonna be honest, they're probably not really serious buyers, or you're gonna be waiting a while. But if they are really serious, then they'll say, yeah, let me go talk to the lender. I'll give you a call back tomorrow after I get things worked out with them. So you just make sure that you are really figuring out who's going through your home for your safety, the safety of your home, the safety of your things. Just make sure also, while we're talking about it, make sure jewelry, medication are either taken out of the house or they're in safes. Firearms absolutely need to be taken out or put in safes. These are really important things, because when you have random people coming through your home, you really need to put safety first. Next step is going to be writing up a contract as an offer to purchase your property. Now, if the buyer is represented by an agent, then they're just going to use our normal forms, and that's great. So that's easy. You don't have anything to worry about. But if the buyer is unrepresented, then you're going to have to find a contract to use. Now, there are templates you can download online to do this, but I really don't recommend using those. What I would do would be reach out to a local attorney, local real estate attorney, and have them draw up the contract for you. At this point, you've probably verbally negotiated with the buyer, so you probably know what the terms are going to be. But if not, and the buyer just says, I want to write up an offer, refer them to your attorney, and then they can put all the terms on paper and put it in a contract that covers you both properly. You don't really want to mess around when it comes to these contracts. They're very important. They are legally binding. So get a local attorney. It's not horribly expensive to pay them to do this. And then you're going to need them for settlement purposes anyhow. So it's really just a little bit of an add-on service for what they're already going to be doing for you. Now, when you are negotiating this contract, you'll have to figure out, or am I going to be allowing them to do a home inspection? Is a termite and moisture letter going to be required for this loan type? Do the buyers want that? So these are all going to be little things that you're going to have to figure out, in addition to the big things like purchase price and are you providing closing cost assistance to the buyer? What are those things going to look like in your contract? And then get that information over to the attorney and they'll walk you through the rest and they'll help put together a legally binding, solid contract that protects you properly and that way you have something that you can move forward with knowing that this is a secure transaction. Once you are under contract, the process is going to move pretty fast from there. If the buyer is doing a home inspection, there's a really good chance that they're going to find defects in your property, especially if you didn't do the pre-listing home inspection like we talked about at the beginning of the video. So there could be a chance where they're going to want to negotiate repairs or an allowance or a price reduction. You're just going to have to probably have a game plan in advance of what you would be willing to do and what you're not willing to do. Now, their loan may also require a termite and moisture letter. Now, if I'm a home buyer, I'm not buying a house without having this done as well because, Williamsburg and all of Hampton Roads are really notorious for moisture in crawl spaces, termites, powder post beetles, fungus galore. So these are things that a home buyer should know about. Now, you don't have to provide them as the home seller if they don't bring them up and they're not part of the contract. But, if I'm a home buyer, especially, a VA loan is going to require it. So it's just going to be required no matter what on a VA. So be prepared to have a separate termite and moisture company come and do an inspection there. And then you may need to do a treatment or repair work in order to make the house in the condition needed to get through the loan type. So these are things you just need to be prepared for and have an idea of what you want to do. You go back to that home inspection. Are there major system problems? Are there minor things? Do you have a clause in the contract that says the buyer can back out if you can't agree to them? These are all things you really need to know about and understand where you are in the contract and what can and can't be done in terms of the condition of the property in order for the buyer to move forward. This is also going to include the appraiser coming by. Now, if they're getting a loan, they're going to be required to have an appraisal, and even that appraiser can have condition requirements that they need met in order to make sure that the loan can go through, especially on VA and FHA. VA probably the most. So you could even have things like installing handrails at stairs or scraping and painting trim on a home. There are a lot of different things that a VA appraiser could come up with that could require repair in order to get that loan to go through. You need to be prepared for these things and need to understand how you're going to handle them when they come up, because it may be fairly short notice by the time, you get that appraisal to when they're supposed to close. The gap to really close on time could be pretty tight. So just be prepared, have that handyman, have that contractor ready. If it's something you can do yourself, be ready to do it. And so you can knock it out, get that appraiser back and get you through this loan so that you can then continue moving forward with the sale of your home. And that's going to lead us to just one of the last things you need to do in order to sell your home is if you are in an HOA or a condo association, you are going to have to contact the association and order disclosure documents for the buyer. So that's something that is generally going to take about 14 days from the day you order them for the day they come in. And then the buyer's going to have a period of time where they can review those. So you really want to just jump on that pretty soon after you go under contract. The really important thing is to know is that the HOA, the COA, they are going to charge you for these. So it could be anywhere from $100 to usually upwards of $300 for a disclosure package. But you want to get that done right away. Now your HOA again can come back and say, hey, now there are some repairs that we need you to make in order to meet the condition requirements for the HOA. A lot of times that's like ceiling cracks in driveways and power washing things, and they'll find things that they never approved that you need approval for. So whether that's some garden edging or whatever, they will find it and they'll let you know, and then you're going to have to get those things done too. So make sure you order those disclosure documents pretty soon after you go under contract, because they do take a little while. A lot of times you can pay for a rush order on them, but if you want to save yourself the $50 or $60 they charge for the rush order, just do that. And then just know you'll reach out to them. They may recommend you go on a website called homewise.com, and Homewise is where a lot of the associations have you order their disclosure packages through. So make sure you have that buyer's email address or their representative's email address, because then you can have the package just sent straight to them electronically. That'll make your life a whole lot easier. Okay, now we're getting to the end of your home sale. Now it's going to be about just getting out of the house. So big thing about this, I just say, be a professional. You want to be a professional when you sold your home on your own. So now be a professional with your move out. Get everything out of your house. Don't leave a bunch of junk in the attic, a bunch of junk in the shed. It doesn't matter if it was there when you bought it. It should be gone when you leave. Now, these are going to be little things like, when you take all your pictures off the walls, make sure you fill those nail holes in, patch them, paint them, especially if you're taking out large anchors, things like that. Tiny nail holes you can get away with, no big deal. But if you're leaving giant holes in your wall, that buyer's just going to be upset, and they might not close on your house, because they could get there and go, well, this isn't what I'm buying. So be a professional, get those pictures off the wall early, do all that spackling that you need to do, make it look really good when you leave. Give it a good cleaning. If you really want to outdo yourself, hire a professional cleaner on the way out. That's great. When I have clients that do that, I tremendously appreciate it, and I know the buyer does too, but you don't have to. Just get your stuff out, sweep it up, clean it down, make it look really nice for those new homeowners that hopefully will love this house as much as you do. And then the next thing you just need to make sure you're talking with your buyer about is the transfer of utilities. It's a lot easier if you and the buyer are on the same page about when the buyer is supposed to take over utilities. The way our contracts read is that the seller has to maintain the utilities through final walkthrough. So the buyer may want to come to the house, the day before closing, make sure that you're completely moved out, that everything still works, and that they're ready to buy the house. If they're represented by an agent, they're definitely going to do that. But even if you're just working with just somebody that you meet randomly about buying your home, then they may want to do the same thing, and they should if they know the process. Now, in that case, you really just want to make sure you and the buyer know that you're going to turn off your utilities maybe the day of closing, the day after closing, and the buyer needs to put them in their name for that same day to prevent you from paying over or for them not having utilities when they go to move in. So that's really just the last thing that needs to get done, and you have sold your home. And that's how you sell your house without a realtor. If you have any questions, please leave those below and I'll reply to them as soon as possible. Of course, you can also call, text, or email me. Be happy to walk you through any part of this or give you any recommendations that you may need to go through this process on your own. In the meantime, like this video, share it with anyone else you know who may find it helpful, and then subscribe to this channel. If anything happens and you do need a real estate agent, maybe not even for your sale, but maybe you're purchasing locally and want a realtor to represent you in that, my team and I are on standby waiting to help. Again, my name is David Tortellini. I'm with eXp Realty. Thanks so much for watching.